Initiating conversations for the shy and awkward.
Woohoo!
Welcome.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I am getting lots of feedback. I just muted you for a second. 1, 2, 3.
Yep, I had 2 windows open, so that should have taken care of it.
Okay, great. Well, that was quite
And
echolicious.
we're all awake now. We're all awake.
We're all awake. Yeah, and sometimes things happen that make us feel awkward, and it's okay. We'll start with the premise. For me, that was very, very hard to take with as much as I'll even tap while I say it. You know, I thought that being suave and perfect was what it was about, to have great conversations.
Movies, TV, that's what they do.
And they get multiple takes. And we don't. We might say something or stutter over some words and things like that. And what I will say is that I just got back from 5 days being out in the woods with composting toilets, which are awkward in and of themselves, but engaging with people that I didn't know for the most part. And so there was plenty of awkwardness on everyone's part. There are some people that may be a natural, but as looking across 30 people, most of us, as we're getting to know each other, are unsure and uncertain. So my general thing, what do you think, Kathy? If you actually get below the veneer of like outward exuberance and confidence, what percentage of the people would you say internally have some shy and awkward?
I used to think it was like me, just no one else. But the more work I do on this, the more I talk about it, I'm realizing that it's like almost all people feel this way. And it's really fun that when I accept that will often feel awkward and I don't try to not be awkward, I'm actually less awkward. It's so ironic and silly, but it's how it works. And I used to be the person I would walk through, like in high school, I would walk with my books in front of me, my head down. I wouldn't meet people's eyes. I was so shy. Walk through the hallways, not looking at anyone. I would get to class and I would pull out a book. And, like I was hiding from people because I didn't know, I wasn't socialized. Like I didn't know how to interact with people that I didn't know closely. And I didn't know how to get close to people because I didn't know how to interact. The initial conversation, I didn't know how to do it. And when I actually got my first job, I just got my PhD, and my advisor was like, she's going to be running a lab. She'll never make it. She's so shy. And I actually found that when I had a task, I had something to do that let me talk. Like I could go up to people and say, we have this problem we need to solve, or I need this, or like for work, I had the permission somehow to talk to people. And that was a really big opening for me. I started, dialoguing with people, but I still had no social skills. Like if I went out to dinner or lunch or with them, I'm like I literally had my brain just froze. And I think that's a large part of this is we have stories we tell ourselves, stories that we were taught that if we were just suave enough or good enough, like everyone's going to like us. And there's going to be this I always think of, I love the TV show Friends, and Joey Tribbiani is always like, hey, he just can go, hey. And all the women are like, oh, okay, I'll sleep with you. And that's not really how humans are.
No, not even for him.
No, not even for real for him. But it was a process for me. And I've since, we talk a lot about building muscles for something. And a lot of people have shared that whether it's for business, whether in marketing or talking to their boss or wanting to connect to other moms or wanting to have relationships, romantic relationships, a lot of people struggle with this.
Yeah. And that's what brings us to this time together. We first want you to feel we get it. Being smart isn't cure for shy and awkward, but people that are willing to show up and pay attention and just try on some ideas,
Mhm.
things that, and we're going to be doing some tapping tonight too, because we know that our emotional energy has a lot to do with it. And making that shift, like you were describing a shift as that allowed you to actually be less awkward by embracing being awkward, that kind of energetic shift does have an impact on others and how they feel from us.
Well,
And
I actually think, I was thinking about this call once we decided to post, we're gonna do it because like what are the blocks to this? And I
mhm,
think before we even approach anyone else, just in our own head, we often lose the game, so to speak, quote unquote, by what we tell ourselves. And there's probably a story. I'd love for you to tune in for just a moment. Just imagine you're gonna go, you see someone that looks interesting and you think about wanting to, you're like, I want to go talk to that person. And it may be your subconscious, but there's usually stories like, we've been taught that we'll be hurt, that they'll judge
mhm,
us. And we give it extra weight by the story we probably are saying, even if we're not conscious of it, is if this person accepts me, I'll be okay. I'm okay. I'm wanted. If
mm,
this person doesn't want me, if this person rejects me, I am unwanted. We make it this blanket statement. We put the whole weight of meeting people onto this one interaction. And it was
mm,
really interesting for me. I'm very shy in social situations, and I just went to a conference, and the people I normally hang out with weren't there. And I was
mm,
also remarkably tired. I've been doing a lot. So I didn't have the same bandwidth to like get hyper about people. And so I was talking to people and I wasn't trying to get anything. I was just like, I'm tired. I don't know these people. I want to connect with them because they seem cool. But there wasn't any of that, like, I need to get something to prove to myself that I'm okay or that I belong, or I didn't have that underlying dialogue. And it was
mhm.
really interesting how many people reached out to me or were trying to engage with me when normally I'm the one that I always feel like I have to engage with other people. Because I wasn't running that dialogue, I think I had a different energy and presence, and people were coming up to me to talk and had a great time. But my energy was different about it, if that makes sense.
It does. So we had a comment here that, I mean, there's a practical side of initiating a conversation. And I think that one of the ways that we can also get into the emotional side is
Mm.
to start from something very simple, like, hi, my name's Rick. What's yours? What comes up for folks when you imagine not introducing yourself as Rick, unless that happens to also be your name, but say, hi, my name's, what's yours? What
Notice.
comes up in what sensations arise in your body?
I think it's really important to notice that because genuinely the initiating conversation is as simple as saying, hi, I'm so and so. It's great to meet you, and kind of like holding on a hand. Like that's a very simple, it's not a line, it's just a thing we can do to each other to indicate that there's an opening for conversation. And our primitive brain understands that's a gesture of friendship, a gesture of, hey, I'm lowering the drawbridge a little bit instead of staying back here behind my books or my busyness or whatever people do. So what do you notice when you feel that? When you think about that?
This is where just getting into the sensations and not overthinking it initially is helpful, because like I just get this little bit of a vibration in my throat. I don't even know what it is. It's
Yeah,
about a 4.
yeah. I feel like a tension in my solar plexus. I think that I was so shy growing up that I wasn't ever sure that anyone would want to talk to me. So I kind of felt like, are they going to just like, they might be annoyed with me that I'm reaching out to them, or, like, who am I to want to make friends with these people?
Mm-hmm.
So
And we're starting with this very simple kind of introduction because, again, we're emotional freedom coaches. We look at like what's the emotional reaction. There's lots of practical things that we're going to be touching on
Yeah,
them, things that have worked for us. We're starting from this really basic, okay, how does your body feel about just introducing yourself?
yeah. Like,
And so, would you like to lead us in some tapping on this body sensation that you're feeling in your solar plexus? I'm feeling in my throat, and see if
so
we can ground ourselves, maybe help us.
take a nice slow deep breath. And I'd like you to just tune in the fact that our primitive brain is part of this process too. To our primitive brain, walking up to someone we didn't know, like a tribe that wasn't ours, was literally a potential life-threatening thing.
Hmm.
There was a lot of value in establishing additional friendships. Like we could have more support. There might be more, we could trade. We could, there might be more food for our family or more goods that we couldn't have otherwise. Survival was literally linked to that. But also there was a risk that they would hurt us, judge us, push us away. So I think we tend to judge now based on what we know, and we don't always put it in context. Our primitive brain is going, this is a big deal.
Mm.
So karate chop. Hey, primitive brain.
Hey, primitive brain. My name's Rick. No.
That was funny. I know initiating conversation is pretty scary for you.
I know initiating conversation is pretty scary for you.
What if they don't like me?
What if they don't like me?
What if they judge me?
What if they judge me?
What if I'm really, really awkward?
What if I am painfully, embarrassingly awkward?
And I don't even know what to say.
And then I don't know what to say next.
Oh, no wonder we're scared.
No wonder we're scared. Let's just be quiet.
It's safer just to hide.
It's safer just to hide.
Even though it does feel like it might be safer to hide.
Even though it does feel like it might be safer to hide.
I also want a fulfilling life.
I also want a fulfilling life.
Filled with people that I really enjoy.
Filled with people I really enjoy.
And that probably means I need to initiate some conversations.
And that probably means I need to initiate some conversations.
Damn it.
Damn it.
Maybe I'll be okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll be okay.
Top of the head, my primitive brain thinks this is dangerous.
My primitive brain thinks this is dangerous.
No wonder it's scared.
No wonder it's scared.
Side of the eye, and I haven't practiced it very much.
I haven't practiced it very much.
Under the eye, so it feels really awkward.
So it feels really awkward.
Under the nose, I'm not sure I'll know what to say.
I'm not sure I'll know what to say.
And I want to melt into the floor.
And I'll want to melt into the floor.
Collarbone, it's safer to hide.
It's safer to hide.
Under the arm, it's also lonelier to hide.
And it's definitely lonelier to hide.
Top of the head, maybe it's okay to try this out.
Maybe it's okay to try this out.
And see where it goes.
And see where it goes.
Nice slow deep breath.
Maybe it's okay to try this out.
Yeah.
So again, check in with your body. Imagine saying, hi, my name is so-and-so. Nice to meet you. Like, my voice felt softer as I said that. There was less strain behind it.
Yeah.
A little more openness. And that's one of the things that in advance, some people have submitted questions about how available we want to make ourselves. And part of it, doesn't that come into play here? If you're going to initiate a conversation, how open do you have to be to initiate a conversation?
Well, I think there's a couple of aspects to that, but one is boundaries. If I open up, and I've been stuck in conversations, like the neighbor comes over, all chatty, and then I'm like, I really want them to leave. If I don't know how to set that up, it can feel frightening. I'm opening the door to something, and there are people that are very needy out there, or that might be just so delighted they're wanting to grab on. And so knowing that you have ways to break things off, having that, I don't want to leave, so I don't want to get close. The needy people, yeah. Um, yeah, it can be scary. Like if you're feeling really lonely and you finally connecting with someone, you want to hold on, but that can
Hmm.
also feel really scary. Like that separation can be really painful for people.
Yeah.
So there's really nice ways to kind of end things. And I think knowing that you have breaks makes it easier to open that door.
Okay. So do you feel like we want to talk about, I would definitely want to talk about the ending things because
Yeah.
that's good and practical and brings up emotional stuff. But also there's that gap. Like, how do you handle the gap when after you introduce someone and they just say hi and they're not really able to, they're not carrying a conversation yet. What do you, how do you manage that dynamic?
So this is really it's so simple, and I often forget to do it. But when I do it, it works beautifully. If there's an awkward silence, I actually own it. I go, oh, wow. I was really looking forward to getting to know you a little bit. And I never know what to say when I'm first meeting someone. And I just be with the feeling. And a lot of times we're like, oh, good, me too. And now we're talking about something that's real and true in the present. So people that talk about wanting to build relationships say, talk about something that's present with you right now. And it's, not about looks usually, but something like, oh, people reach for the weather because it's often a true thing, but it's very distant. And it's kind of, you used it so much, it's rather trite.
Yeah.
Like if you can, so if you're talking to someone and say, I noticed when we were walking, you looked over at that painting and it looked like it made you happy, or the sun seems to be making you smile, or something that's true in the moment. There's a real deep connection that flows, and so just owning, you seem like an interesting person. I wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit. And honestly, I always feel awkward when I'm starting these conversations. I don't know you well enough to know what to say, and yet I'd like to get to know you a little better. True statement in the moment, and the other person can go, oh my God, I'm so awkward with this too. Or they might even say, I have a lot
You're
to
doing
go
great.
on.
They might say you're doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they might say, I don't, I'm really busy right now. And it's like, okay, that kind of hurt, but okay. You don't even, you just like, you can go off and find someone who has more time for you.
Mhm. You did say this is a muscle, this is a skill, and it does require some courage, you
Mm.
know. Why do I want to initiate conversations?
Why do I want to initiate conversations?
Side of the eye. Initiating conversations is so awkward.
Initiating conversations is so awkward.
Under the eye. Why do I want to do this?
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 Jen, what brings me here?
What brings me here?
Come on, what brings me to this place right now?
What brings me to this place right now?
Under the arm. What brings me to this place right now?
What brings me to this place right now?
So imagine we're in a circle. There's a bunch of us. Turn to the person to your right and say, hi, my name is Rick. I'm looking forward to figuring out how to be less awkward at this. What brings you here? Or something like that. Yeah.
It's okay to be awkward. You're just, I think they use the analogy of letting down a drawbridge. Okay.
I haven't
Letting
heard that one.
like we're kind of opening up, like we have our shell, and I want to initiate conversations. I'm kind of letting them down the drawbridge. If you've ever seen a drawbridge go down, it's kind of clunky and it makes a lot of noise. It's okay to be a little awkward at it. Like humans are awkward at this.
Yeah.
We don't know what's down there. Is it like an army or, a friendly puppy or, we don't know. We don't know. It's like a pleasant surprise sometimes and a disappointment or flatness sometimes. But when people have had a lot of stress, and for people that are pretty sensitive energetically, we haven't been really taught that it's okay to have this be a mystery and an adventure that we can either say, hey, this was fun, I want to do it again, or you know what, that adventure was not so much fun, I'm not going to go there again. But meeting new people it's a little bit like What's in there under that shell? Like Rick and I talk a lot about not judging people based on their looks. And we can pick up a lot on energy and how people move, but there's still a lot of mystery. I don't know who someone is until I start reaching out a little bit and going, how do you play? How do you play back? How do you interact with me?
Some people, they just don't want to feel like they're standing there alone, and their reason for initiating a conversation is to start connecting to the people that are around them.
Mm-hmm.
For a long time, I sort of ignored the people that sat next to me in the airplane
Uh-huh.
because I don't typically want to have a conversation the whole time while I'm flying. Yeah, and yet some essential connection. Can I help you with that? Hey, like if I'm sitting on the aisle, I'll introduce myself and say, hi, I'm Rick, and they might or might not reciprocate, but I'll say something like, hey, just to let you know, even if my eyes are closed, if you need to get out, feel free.
I do the same thing. I like to sit on the aisle, and I don't want anyone to feel trapped. And I think it's okay to give yourself permission, like, hey, I don't want to talk to anyone right now. That's great. Or I can even say, hey, I just want to introduce myself. We're going to be stuck here for a while. I tend not to want to chat on the plane, but I wanted to just introduce myself, make sure you knew if you needed to get out that I'm glad to.
So for people that have something, as Kathy and I are offering some scenarios, like I know that when I was further out on the shy and awkward spectrum, that type of thing would make me feel a bit queasy, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Again, tune into your sensations in your body, and you can even imagine tapping your collarbone points. Like if I'm sitting in an airplane, I might not tap as I'm thinking about engaging with someone, saying hello. Mm-hmm. But I might imagine myself just tapping the points, taking a couple of deep breaths, feeling my weight in the chair.
Yeah.
I do think that I don't like to just schmooze.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a joy for me.
Yeah.
But if I'm there at an event, there's usually a reason why I'm there. Mm-hmm. It may be like I'm going to a birthday party. Okay. Why would I go to this birthday party? Because I really care about this person.
Right.
That's usually why I would go to a birthday party. If I don't care about the person, I'm typically not going. I'm going to do something else. And so initiating a conversation can be something like, I'll tell you, I remember the first time, just turning to someone and said, I remember the first time I met Amy, and it was a great dance. What about you? When was the first time you met her? You haven't even introduced yourself by name. You're not leading with yourself. Mm-hmm. You're leading with something in the environment. In this case, someone who is a focal point for the event.
Yeah.
It could be like if you're going to listen to a speaker and there's a topic, say, yeah, I remember the first time I heard the term restorative process. And I've been curious about it since. It's been about 6 months from now. When did you first hear that? Oh. It doesn't have to be complicated, but it does help if it's connected to the why you're there. Mm-hmm. Because people then are feeling like you're not necessarily... I loved your things. If you see someone interesting or you overhear someone and they piqued your interest,
yeah.
Say, oh, I did overhear. Say, I did overhear you saying this, and I'm really curious to hear more about that. Do you have a few minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Hi, my name's Rick. The initiation part of it, for people, if you're not initiating conversations, as Kathy said, I think that the boundaries is one key thing. Do you have breaks? And we're going to get into that in a minute. Mm-hmm. The other aspect is, do you have at least 3 ways within a context that you're going to be in that feel like they could be normal and natural ways to open up a conversation with someone. Something that's alive and real in the environment or your reason for being there.
Yeah.
Does that feel, is there anything else that you want to add to that as kind of the prep, like how someone would prepare for this?
Part of it is just giving yourself permission to not do it well.
Yeah.
Like, please don't start with the person you've had a crush on for 15 years. It's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
I literally practice with my cat and with the grocery store.
And Molly has become much better at initiating conversations, even though she's a bit shy and awkward.
Yeah, she talks to me all the time. But just letting yourself be awkward in places where it doesn't matter so much. If you're doing it for work, don't practice at work. Practice like going to Lowe's and, like finding 3 people that are there just to say, hey, I can never find anything in the light bulb section. Do you, are you like, do you know what I mean? Like just talking about what's there and building the muscle and training. It's literally training your primitive brain to go, I spoke to a human being that was a stranger and nothing bad happened. Oh my God. Huh. Okay. Wow. I did it again. That was almost not embarrassing.
Someone today in Lowe's looked at me. We were standing next to the LED lights and he goes, wow, it just goes on and on and on. And I go, I know. It's so
you bridged it.
Yeah. Just making a comment about what was alive there. It wasn't, So.
And I think the more you do this, the more you start seeing openings for conversations, openings for door. Like we literally are very bad at something. When we first approach something we don't know, our brain does not know how to pick it out. It's just like frozen, like stuff everywhere. But as we just practice, we just start lifting the weight a little bit, practicing a little bit. Our brain will naturally start fine-tuning. Just like when we were tiny, tiny little babies, language didn't mean anything to us. It was just sounds. But the more we are around it, the more we hear it, our brain goes, oh, that means something. That same kind of thing when we see somebody that's like standing at Lowe's going, we can go, oh my God, I know exactly how you feel.
Is there a difference? Jean mentions that, strangers are something that she can do this with, but groups, something different. Have you noticed a difference, like in group? You'd run a lot of groups, cuddle parties, and things like that.
Groups feel more intimidating, and what I try to do is break them down to individuals in the group rather than trying to address the group. Especially because I'm pretty empathetic. I can read people's energies. Trying to read the group is too much, especially if I'm feeling shy or I don't know people there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of the social flow. So what I try to do is it's the same thing when I first started to learn to drive. Traffic, so much traffic. And I would try to watch it all. And then I was really actually not safe because I was paying attention to too many things. Versus I just need to pay attention to the cars right next to me. Okay, that's 4 cars versus 500 cars. I can do that. And I might find I tend to look for the people that are a little shy or awkward because I can be much better at this when I'm doing an active service. I'm like, oh, that person might be lonely. They might feel the way I feel, and I would love for someone to come up to me right now and talk to me. So I'm going to go do that for them. Yeah. And I try to make it not a group. I try to pull myself. And again, that's something like talking in front of groups. I went to Al-Anon for years. I dated an alcoholic woman for a while, and I was in Al-Anon. And when it came, we would read from the big book, and we would go around the circle, and I would figure out where it was, and I was not paying attention to anyone else. Or if we had to share, I was totally practicing what I was going to say because I was so nervous. And it would just take I'd leave the place exhausted. But as I just kind of, my brain realized I wasn't in so much danger, I relaxed. And now I very rarely think about what I'm going to say next. I just let the energy come around the circle, and then I just let myself speak. But that took a while.
Yeah. So in the comments and things, it looks like what's coming up is this energy of might be really stuck with someone. So let's shift to the, if you know that you can stop the car and get out, you're going to feel less trapped and even more confident at starting. So what are some of the things that allow us to have breaks ending a conversation? What are some things that we can try on saying and see what happens in our body?
Yeah. I think that a lot of us, especially females, are socialized to be polite, never hurt anyone's feeling, wait for the other person to leave. Someone said, "Oh, my mother's calling me." Yes, we could do that, especially when we're kids. But just being able to say, "Hey, I'm allowed to take care of myself. I'm allowed to leave this conversation, even if the other person hasn't given me permission." That's pretty powerful and not so easy. I had to practice.
Can we try that? I'm allowed to leave a conversation.
I'm allowed to leave a conversation.
I'm like, yeah, of course. Maybe.
And then, we stand there like, I'm so bored and I'm not having fun and my feet are tired, but I have to stay here.
It can be helpful to just do you want to just do a quick tapping on to kind of ground in that, yes, I'm allowed to leave a conversation. This is my life kind of thing.
Karate chop, even though I was taught to be polite.
Even though I was taught to be polite.
And wait for permission.
And wait for permission.
I'm an adult.
Stop talking.
I'm an adult.
I'm an adult.
And I get to take care of myself.
And I get to take care of myself.
Even though I was taught to be polite no matter what.
Even though I was taught to be polite no matter what.
I choose to take care of myself.
I choose to take care of myself.
And end the conversation if I want to.
And end the conversation if I want to.
Top of the head, it feels awkward to do that.
It does feel awkward to do that.
Eyebrow, another muscle to build up.
Another muscle to build up.
Side of the eye. Good thing I have good muscles.
Good thing I have good muscles.
Under the eye. This is something else I can learn.
This is something else I can learn.
Under the nose, and in the meantime, I can say I have to use the restroom.
In the meantime, I could say, excuse me, I have to use the restroom.
Chin, I need to get something to drink.
I need to get something to drink.
Collarbone, oh, I totally forgot to make a phone call. Please excuse me.
I totally forgot to make a phone call. Please excuse me.
Under the arm, oh, I want to go over and talk to someone else.
Oh, I want to go over to talk to someone else. Thank you.
Top of the head, it's been delightful talking to you. I'm ready to meet some other people.
It's been delightful talking to you. I'm ready to meet some other people.
Eyebrow, there's lots of ways I can end the conversation.
Oh boy, there's lots of ways I can end the conversation.
Side of the eye, I just have to practice them.
I just have to practice them.
Under the eye, and be willing to be as kind to myself as I am to others.
And be willing to be as kind to myself as I am to others.
Under the nose, give myself permission to leave.
Give myself permission to leave.
Chin, and maybe go back if I want some more.
And maybe go back if I want some more.
Collarbone, it's okay to move in and out.
It is okay to move in and out.
Under the arm, and I give myself permission to try it out.
And I give myself permission to try it out.
Nice deep breath. That's literally what I taught. Rick and I run cuddle parties, and where people can get together. We practice boundaries and asking for what we want, and then there's cuddle time. And I tell people, like, we encourage you to practice your nose, and if someone asks for things, we encourage you to take care of yourself. And in different situations, some of us can't say the words, so it's okay to have a list of things like, I have to use the restroom, or I'm thirsty, or I'm hungry, or, oh, I promised someone I'd check in with them, or I need to walk around or stretch, like body functions. We also tell people, like, hey, I feel filled up. That was delightful. Thank you. Like, just thanking them. That was really delightful. And I want to do something else now. The more you practice those little things, again, if you have a pet, they're great to practice with. If you have a good friend, tell them that you want to practice saying them out loud to a human, or practicing in a mirror. Those are really good really good ways to like build up the muscle and give yourself some freedom. And you can, yeah, just like Dottie said, you could just say, oh, would you please excuse me? You don't have to give a reason, though most humans have been socialized to find it easier to give a reason, I think.
Yeah, and I believe that our confidence in situations in whether it's a cuddle party situation or a business meeting or just talking to someone next to you on the airplane, if you don't feel like you've got some choice around that, and I like to be truthful, I really do, and there are ways of saying, I'm gonna thank you for introducing yourself. It's I appreciate knowing the person next to me. For the next few hours, I'm going to be focused on some work. So I'm going to
Yeah.
put my earphones on and focus on that.
Yeah.
And coming up with these things that feel like you could say them
Mm-hmm.
in a way that allows you to make a graceful exit and closure um, will free you up and will also, I find, the people that can make a graceful exit are more often the people that are really easy to talk to as well because they're not necessarily looking for the exit, but they will pick up on the fact that I might be looking for the exit.
They're not trying to, oh my God, it was so hard to talk to one person. I'm going to grab onto this person and I'm going to talk to them the entire evening because I'm so scared of initiating conversations.
And they know that having an exit is important for even starting a conversation. So they might say something like, yeah, it's been great talking to you. Did you want to continue and explore this, or would you like to roam around a little bit? You start offering people that are good at this, even awkwardly, will offer choices. Like
Yeah.
one of the things I'll find myself doing is, yeah, I saw you sitting here, and I'm in a mood to talk. Are you in a mood to talk, or would you like solitude right now? I
Yeah.
did that 4 or 5 times over the weekend.
Yeah.
3 of them, the person wanted solitude. The other two were like, "Oh, I would love to talk about what we just went through. What is alive for us." And it was worth it to be able to give people that kind of out. Now it's awkward. I mean, it's like there's a part of me that I'm in the mood to talk. That's why I'm approaching.
I
But
wouldn't have bothered you
I
otherwise.
I want consent,
Yeah.
right? Hey, you in the mood to talk for a couple minutes? That also puts a time boundary around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that what we just heard from that speaker really brought up something for me. Are you in the mood to chew on it for 3 or 4 minutes? And then after 3 or 4 minutes, you say, "Thank you so much. I could talk to you about it for more. Do you want to continue, or would you like to circulate?"
Yeah. No, I love that. And then the more you practice that, the easier it gets for. I think people love freedom, and if they feel like you're relaxed with you staying or going, it's like, oh, as soon as I feel like someone's trying to cling to me, I want to get out of there. Even if
Sure.
I'm having a great conversation, that kind of, no, please don't try to make me stay. Um,
I think that a graceful release, I mean, it's not what I had thought about when we initially came up with this time together. It was mainly about the initiation. But in order to initiate, you need to know that you can gracefully exit. It's okay to lie, by the way. Just know that you're lying.
yeah,
You could say,
for
"Oh,
ten,
I've got to call my mother," and you could walk out and you could pretend to call your mother, and then go to the other side of the room. It's okay. You're taking
yeah,
care of something. And the simpler ones, like someone said, excuse me, I have excuse me, I have meds to take. Right. Excuse me, I'm not drunk enough to continue this conversation with you. I don't drink, which is it makes it even funnier. Um, but yeah, and if you have a challenge coming up with some ideas, feel free to brainstorm with people that you feel are good at this, and ask them the question, "Hey, well, if you felt like you were stuck in a conversation that you didn't want to be in, what would you say?"
yeah.
There are
Well,
people that are good at this.
You could even say that to someone like like I encourage people to tell the truth if they feel they can and to take care of
Yes.
themselves. I don't have a problem with people telling the white lie to take care of themselves if they can't get the words out, but you want to still build up the muscles. But literally you could say, I always feel awkward about this. I've had a really good time talking to you and I'm feeling awkward, but I want to go do something else now. Like just owning the truth is very powerful. It just so, kind of digging into what is true right now. Oh, I'm feeling awkward and I do want to end the conversation. Maybe I'll come back and check with you later if that's okay. Or don't promise that if you don't want to do that. If you feel like, yeah, I want to go meet some other people, but I'd love to connect again. Letting people know the truth. Like if people love appreciation and if it's genuine, letting them know that like this was really delightful. I wasn't sure I was going to meet anyone. That would be so neat. And I want to just circulate and meet some other people. But thank you for making my night neat. Like a fun place to, being a bright spot in my evening. People remembering that. People remember like, oh, that was someone's bright spot. Like literally someone said that to me and I was like, that's wonderful. And then, people feel a little filled up and they can go off and build new connections with other people too.
Awesome. We've got some questions here. Actually, there were topics. I'd like to go through these with you so that we can chew on them. We only have about 18 minutes. We have 6 questions or 6 topics. Yeah. I think we already took care of the big issue about talking with needy people. There's no compulsion necessary to give them anything, but one can talk and offer a new perspective without thought of return, right? So, James, I think you're saying that when you're with a needy person, you don't have to continue to give them anything. And that's why we did the tapping. For some of us, being polite, not interrupting, there's a lot of things that can come up.
I've been in conversations with someone who just would not stop talking. Like I couldn't even say a word edgewise. And I just literally had to say, thanks, I've got to go. And just walked away in the middle. Like it was really hard. I've been acculturated. You do not walk away while someone's talking. But that person really it felt somewhat abusive in a way. There was no room for me. Like they were literally not taking a breath for me to talk. So I had to keep listening because I couldn't walk away. And I finally had to say, excuse me, and leave in the middle of their conversation. And I had to go do some tapping because it felt really rude. And I also knew that I was never going to get away otherwise.
Sure. And there are people that are their nervous system doesn't pick up on social cues either. And they can get very excited and just stay in it. So
and they may not have had many people to talk to and they're just so happy.
Yeah. This is where tapping on the back end, like after something, the next day, kind of feeling into what felt good, what didn't, tapping on accepting yourself, that type of thing. So thank you, James, for that. My problem is being too unavailable in social defense mode when with others. Thank you, Kay. What would so if you have breaks, how do you calibrate how available you're willing to be, Kathy? I mean, when you're out there and someone you may want to initiate a conversation or someone initiates with you and you're not sure how available you want to be yet. How do you navigate that? What's kind of the way that you approach that?
One thing I do is I learned this from people who teach boundaries is I can imagine that I have this energetic shield and there's some great stuff done. Eden has YouTube videos. Other people have YouTube videos on energetic boundaries. But I imagine that I have this like brick wall around me. And if I'm feeling really scared, I might make one of the bricks opaque, see-through. Like I'm going to have my whole energy body and my physical body behind the shield, but I'm going to open this up and I'm going to kind of like peek at them and see how they respond. And depending on how tired I am, how well I know the group, all this, like I said, it different ways. And then the really cool thing with energy is we can change it. Oh, maybe I'll make the bigger area opaque or clear. Oh, maybe I'll just open that up. Maybe I'm going to make everything a little like softer and flimsy, not so hard, not brick. Maybe I'm going to let it down a little bit. I can still put it back up, but I imagine that. And having the breaks is a big part of it. So if someone starts getting really personal, I can say, and because I practiced, I'm not up for that kind of a conversation right now, but thanks for asking. I think I'm going to get something to
yeah. I'm not up for that kind of conversation right now.
I have some people like, I talk all over the country about body image, internationally actually, like, body image. I talk about my weight. I talk about my age. I talk about sexuality very openly. But there are times when it feels a little intrusive, or I'm not in that space, and they're like, "So, how do you feel? Do you really think it's okay to be overweight? It's not very healthy." And I'm like, you know what? I have had this conversation too many times today. I don't, fit and fat are different. People can be amazing human beings no matter what. I just I'm not up for that conversation right now. Thanks for asking. I have a bunch of YouTube videos if you want to go watch it. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't have YouTube videos, you can just, say, I don't want to have that conversation.
I also want to add to, thank you, Kathy. The aspect of it that, let's say that you're approaching someone and they're not feeling very available.
Yeah.
They're in social defense mode.
Mm-hmm.
One, that may not have anything to do with you.
They might just are.
Right. And this is where if we're going to be empathetic and sensitive, it's okay, I believe, to say, yeah, thanks. It's been good to just introduce myself. Are you in the mood for talking right now? And that goes back to the offering someone a choice where you're not just bouncing off their wall. I believe that right now, especially like for me as a man approaching someone who has been maybe approached many times, you were, as a speaker, like I just heard, you're the type of person that talks about things boldly, and other people may want a claim on your time and energy. Mm-hmm. People who are friendly by nature, may stop feeling very friendly if they've just been putting out so much energy and people flirting with them when they really weren't wanting that. How do you do that? And this is my edge. It's like I'm aware of people who I would like to talk to that have their social wall up. And how do we approach that? And go ahead.
Oh, one of the things I learned was from Olivia Fox Carbane. She wrote a book called The Myth of Charisma, which is one of my favorite books of all time. But she talks about giving them other options. So people are really hungry, and if they see you being someone that makes a difference in their world, or could potentially have information that will make a difference in the world, they don't want to go away because they're afraid they'll never find that again. The book is called The Myth of Charisma by Olivia Fox Carbane, a really amazing read. But what she says, hey, listen, I'm not available to talk about this right now, or I've had a really long day. I don't have the energy to talk about this. Really honest and authentic. It's really useful to be truthful about this because people can tell when we're like just trying to blow them off. But then giving them, let me write down a book for you. Let me write down a link for you. Here's a good word to Google, or here's a good term to Google to find more information. You're saying, I'm not going to be your doorway, but here is how you can find other doorways. Mm-hmm. And that way they don't feel rejected or shut down. They feel like, oh, you genuinely want to help me and you don't have the bandwidth. You just said, like, here is something. Or, sometimes I'll tell people, hey, if you'd like to, you're welcome to email me. I might have more reserves another time. And here's my card.
Uh-huh. Excellent.
there's different ways you can say, or, like if someone's very vivacious and likes to talk, like, oh, I'm not available to talk about this right now, but that person in the corner over there, Elizabeth, she loves talking about this. Why don't you go check and see if she's available? You're giving them a way to still find what they want, still get what they want.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. So Kate writes, I'm in direct marketing and I feel awkward initiating a conversation about my products. My experience in direct marketing is that that is one of the things to overcome. And for me, I know if someone is approaching me cold to talk about products, unless I'm there,
and get to know me,
it's off-putting. And, sometimes it works. And it really depends on the kind of way that you want to walk in the world. Direct marketing, relationship marketing for a lot of people is about people you know and people that you can have a resonance with, that you share something with. And for me, it's, okay, do I have consent?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's, for me, very important. I did direct marketing for several years back in the 90s, and it felt really congruent if the introduction or at the appropriate point, I asked something that found out whether it was consent. And the consent was for like 3 minutes at most. I mean, and if they wanted more than that, then we would sit down some other time. I think that it's the same kind of way that if somebody's flirting, you've got something that you're offering. You're offering yourself, not just a product. You're offering yourself in engagement, and that's a big deal. And finding out whether someone wants to go there,
yeah,
it's an interesting idea. So thinking about giving people the choice to easily opt out is it makes it less awkward for everyone if they feel like they've got an easy out, but also an enthusiastic invitation.
Well, I think relating it to who they are and what they want to learn. So I've had people just sell at me.
Yeah.
And I've also had people say, oh, let me know about you first. Let me get to know you as a human. Oh, and this might be useful for you because of this, like genuine, not trying to make it. And the analogy I come up with, I gave some talks recently we were going to talk on beautyism, and this person had a new book out on consent, and she was so excited about it. And consent and beautyism are not, they're in the same neighborhood, but they're not the same thing. And she kept saying, oh, I have this book. She was so excited about it, but she wasn't relating it to the topic. And I think if she tied it in, like, one of the things we try to do when we're trying to combat people just judging each other on beauty is to make sure we're choosing people for what they have to offer, not just how pretty they are. And one of the things I did when I was writing my new book was I made sure that I was choosing people that that I had a mixture of people, not just people that match the conventionally pretty norms. She could have still talked about her book but woven it of what we were actually taught, the main topic, versus there were several incongruent detours, and I was like, this is not a sales talk. Like it just felt a little awkward. So I think when we're direct marketing or marketing to people in general, it's about like building a little bit of a relationship first and saying, and I've had people ask me this for friendship or romance or marketing, like, what's really important to you? Like, how do you want to make a difference in the world? And that opens up something deeper. And then you can say, oh, that's amazing. I don't know if you're interested, but I have this product that I work with that I think might help you with that. Are you willing to, can I tell you about it can I take a minute to tell you about it? Like time limited, lighter, related to what they're talking about. And even this feels a little awkward, but I'd like to tell you about this thing that might help you.
Awesome. Is it different if you're attracted to someone, if you have that charge in initiating a conversation?
For me, it is, for sure. If I like someone, I can tend to get really shy. That's why it's good to build up the muscles of people that you're not like, oh, they're dreamy.
I'm all tingly looking at their eyebrows and
And
yeah.
again, we can practice building the muscles up, but we can also be authentic. Like, hey, I'm feeling really shy around you because I kind of have you're really interesting to me. I kind of feel tingly when I talk to you, and I'd like to get to know you better. And I'm feeling really nervous, and I'm babbling, and oh my god, I'm so sorry. Should I run away? And then just like if they say, well, let's not talk now, you're like, okay, bye. Or if they say no, like let's talk a little bit. You're like, okay, like we can be kind of authentic about what we're going through. We don't have to say, oh my God, I want to marry you and have your babies. That probably will scare them away. But you can say, hey, like I'm feeling a little tingly around you. I'm like, I'm really drawn to getting to know you. You can be authentic about some of the things. Most people are flattered, especially if you're not doing it as this pulley, like, you must accept me or I will never be okay in the world again. And that's a lot of tapping. I had to go through a lot of tapping where I could get to the point where, like, yeah, not everyone's going to want to say yes. It was.
Mm-hmm. The thing that I've realized is that state management, when you're attracted to someone, like you said, it's harder. State management meaning, what state am I in? I'm aroused, I'm activated, I'm shy, I'm blushing, I'm desiring, my lust level is up. Whatever it is, if you look at the grounding exercises and learning how to be in a kind of presence which isn't like this. People that, like, if you want to approach someone's space, one of the things that helps them feel safe is you approach to the point where you've made energetic contact, but you haven't entered without invitation into their personal space.
Yeah.
And so if I'm attracted to someone, I I will start moving in toward proximity and see if there feels like there's some engagement that's happening. I also look for things that are not like, I'm obviously if I'm attracted to someone, I'm attracted to them. And I could give you a long list of why I'm attracted to them. I will look for something that's not obvious and it's not a physical attribute, something
Yeah.
that they have just done. I remember I was in a Starbucks once and there was a woman that walked in, and I was in my computer and I felt her walk into the place.
Yeah.
And my initial reaction was like, there's no way that I could even talk to this person. I'm just too, blah, biology had taken over my senses. And then I was practicing meditation and I felt like, okay, I'm just going to sit and not stare, but I'm just going to be feeling and aware with soft eyes. Who is this person? I'm going
Yeah.
to take the first attraction as great. The initiating the conversation then became like an energy dynamic. How is this person moving? Is there
Yeah.
something beyond biology that I'm noticing that is of value to me? Like, why would I initiate a conversation with this person? Is it just because they get my biology going? That's an awful lot of people. And I noticed that when she met a child, she got down at the boy's level and was really open and treated him as a really interesting person. And then when she sat down with her coffee, it was nearby. It happened to be nearby me. I wouldn't have gotten up all across and crossed over, but I said, I noticed when you were talking to the boy. And I just paused for a moment. And she looked at me and I said, how you really treated him. You got down on his level and you really engaged with him. That's the kind of quality I really admire.
Yeah.
Now, if she said thank you and turned back to her book, that would have been it. But
Yeah.
she actually engaged in the conversation. The way that she treated the boy was actually something that was conscious for her, that mattered. She felt like kids should be treated that way. And we had a really nice 45-minute conversation. I remember seeing her at a dance. We danced a little bit. Didn't go anywhere other than that, but I felt the 45-minute conversation. I think it was that long. It could have been 5 minutes that felt like a delicious 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That's some of the value that we can bring is when we pierce the veil of, okay, you're presenting in my world, you're another human being. Can I notice anything about this person? Oh, I noticed that you when people walk by, you have a nice welcoming smile. I appreciate that. I believe that more of that is a good thing in our circles.
Yeah, and I love that I want to anchor what you said about not focusing on looks. So many people are so focused on looks. And I have people, I guess because I'm out there talking about sexuality and intimacy a lot, I have people all the time like, you're so pretty. And I'm like, you just lost me. Like, like
I am so many things. You're taking the one sprinkle on the top of a magnificent
when
being.
someone says something like your eyes are really warm or your smile is so sweet or like you just have a kindness about you or I like how you do this thing. They're just like, oh, that I feel like, oh, this person is actually paying attention to me, not just objectifying me. And that feels really good. So I think when we initiate, if we can, when we're not trapped in our primitive brain, when we're not so scared, we can't just relax and be with a person. And the more we can relax, we can like notice things like your eyes are really kind. Like, I love how you smiled at that person. Or, that was so sweet the way you thanked him, the barista for your coffee. Like it felt very genuine. And those kinds of things, I think people feel like, wow, you saw me as a human, not as something to acquire or consume. People relax and then they can build a relationship a lot better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Kathy. There's obviously more to this. If this is a topic that interests you, we have things at thrivingnow.com where Kathy and I co-create around the subject, and Kathy and I also have things at theintimacydojo.com, especially our body confidence, breaking out of your shell. There's a number of things that really can make a difference. If you have follow-up questions, you can easily reach both Kathy and I at support@thrivingnow.com. That goes to both of us.
Yeah, I'd love to hear.
And we'd love to hear what you notice as you go out there and do this. Please consider us cheerleaders and happy to celebrate your initiations. So.
Yeah, if you can, just give yourself a pat on the back and realize that you're doing something really good for yourself. You're looking at this in a different way. And that's a beautiful thing because there's so many lonely people out there. Yeah. So thank you all.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.